Hey, all right. All
Are we
right.
back?
We are back.
All
We
right,
are
we're
back.
back. Welcome to another edition of Live Feed Read. I'm Paul Reed, your host, coming to you from sunny Brandon, Florida on Friday,
Yeah.
August the 9th. This is Jason Crawford, the Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson. He
Hello,
is up
hello.
in Tallahassee trying to save the planet. God bless him. I shout out to Alessandra. I
Yes.
spoke with her, and she's getting some orders for her killer workout attire. So that's good. And
Nice.
if you didn't see Alessandra, what is it? It's do you remember that it's Life
Yeah,
High
it was I think it was Hyde Lifestyles. Let me
High
double check because
Lifestyles.
Hyde Lifestyle, no S.
No S.
Yeah, just Hyde
Well, if you
Lifestyle.
Google it, it'll probably come up. But
You
she
know
has
what? I
some
can put it in
great.
comments here.
She has great
Yeah.
workout attire.
Yeah. I
So
dropped it in the comments. The link is there. So if anybody's watching, they can actually just click on it.
all right.
There you go.
All right, so and I guess Jason and I owe her apology because I got some feedback that
Yeah.
we talked over one another and talked over her, so bad on us. So we're going to try to do a
Sad
better
trombone.
we're going to try to do a better job of not talking over one another, uh,
Yes.
because this is different than just having a conversation. It's
Yeah.
a podcast, and so I'll talk, then Jason,
And
and
I'll listen.
yeah, exactly. I could have said it even better myself. All
I know
right,
my place.
thank you. So let's so
Yes, and I'm
Jason,
sorry too
the
for
the
what for
bearded
talking.
wonder here is gonna sit here and listen. I there's a term out there that's been going around now ever since the Supreme Court basically made the controversial Roe versus Wade decision overturning that 1972 law, and the term is
Right.
court packing. And
Right. Okay.
I've asked people, do you know what that is? Some say yes, some say no, and some say yes, but they don't know.
Okay. I've heard
Uh,
it floating
yeah,
around. Yep.
and it's simply, let me tell you let's go briefly the history of the term.
Okay.
So in there's a Judiciary Act of, believe it or not, 1869, where Congress established the Supreme Court, that they would have one Chief Justice and 8 associate justices. So the 9 justices, which are current to this day, began back in 1869 with the Judiciary Act. All right, you're with me.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. So, not that we would recall, and I don't even know if they teach this in schools, but back in 1929, the stock market crashed. It was called like Black Friday, and literally the country financial situation went kaputs. All right, and it led us into what's called the Great Depression.
Okay.
Of
Right.
1930, 31, and so forth. All right, where I mean, money was worthless. There was food. I mean, it was bad. It was just bad. And you think we're having problems now? Nothing compared to this. There were
Yeah.
there were literally box cities where people lived
Yeah.
in cardboard boxes. All right. So anyway,
Mm.
in 1932,
Mm.
Franklin Roosevelt was elected president. All right. And also, interestingly enough, and he was Democrat. You're going to get a kick out of this.
Mm.
The Congress, both the House of Representatives and the Senate, were majority Democrats. All right. So you had an all Democrat electoral body, executive branch and the legislative branch. All right.
Yep.
So typically that means you get to make laws and pass laws pretty much at will that you think are in your or the country's best interest. With me so far?
Yes.
Well, so what Roosevelt did, he had this economic plan called the New Deal. All right.
Right. Right.
The New
It was a
Deal
Great
based,
New Deal or Big New Deal.
say again?
It was like the Big New Deal or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the New
Yeah.
Deal was basically a economic stimulus package
Mm-hmm.
but it gave the federal government a lot of extra powers that until 1932 and beyond, they didn't have. So it really expanded
Right.
the federal government's economic authority. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the different laws that were passed, but there were numerous.
Okay.
Well, the then Supreme Court struck down many of those New Deal laws as unconstitutional.
Okay.
That's what they do. If it's constitutional, unconstitutional, either way, they struck them down.
Okay.
And so Roosevelt, being not happy with, which today you see it, not happy with what the Supreme Court did, said,
Right.
look, I want to pack the court, meaning
Right.
I want to put additional Supreme Court justices on the court so I can get favorable rulings. That's the short version of what he wanted to do.
Yeah. You can't win the game by the rules, change the rules.
Right.
Yeah.
One would think,
in a nutshell.
like let's jumping forward. If
Mm-hmm.
that was the case today, where you had an all Democrat, there would probably be court packing going on, right? But we don't. We have a Senate, a slight majority on the Senate, and a slight majority of Republicans in the House, so they can't do it.
Balanced, right?
Well, one would have thought back then the Democrats were in charge of it, both houses and the president. This would have been easy.
Okay, right, yeah.
Oh no, the vice president, along with several members of Congress, said no. Now, mind you, the vice president to Franklin Roosevelt said no. This is a bad idea. I found that to be interesting.
Yeah.
His name was Vice President John Nance Garner, opposed it. Boy, I tell you what, that's some stones.
Yeah.
Roosevelt was a very
yes
strong president.
Yes.
And the country was in the crapper, to say the least.
Yeah.
And he proposed initiatives to end or bring us out of the Great Depression. And then the Supreme Court said, no, this is unconstitutional. It would have been simple, it sounds like, to pack the court. But there were individuals back then, evidently, unlike now, who wanted to do, in my opinion, what's best for the country, not what's best for the party.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Boom!
Yeah, what a mind-blowing concept.
What a mind-blowing concept.
Right.
What's best for the country?
Yeah. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. Along with the marijuana that's going to be legal in
No, wait.
So,
wow.
Okay, so here's the problem. And this isn't rocket science.
Uh-huh.
If one party packs the court when they're in power,
right,
what's going to happen 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, 16 years, when the other party has both houses of Congress and the presidency?
It's like Red Rover, it's in your side, and it just kind of like this side gets bigger, then that side gets bigger, then this side gets bigger.
Right. Sooner or later, you're going to have a Supreme Court that won't fit in the Pentagon.
Right.
So many
Yeah. More people will be in the Supreme Court than in the nation.
Right. Exactly. So, it's a horrible idea.
It really
That's
is.
not my opinion. It's just a horrible idea.
Yeah, it's the road to nowhere, right? Like, how do you, once you give that mentality and the mindset and the execution plan momentum, how do you stop it? But where does it end? Does it have a natural end? Or will you have to artificially end it? And then when, how, and why?
It would not end. Who are we kidding?
Right.
But either way, the beauty is, though, these guys back, 100 years ago, because we're about, 1920, 30, 32, they realized that this was not a good idea.
Okay.
And so, and it's just not. And they have,
I agree.
they have the authority to do it if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So so now when you hear court packing, it is simply adding additional Supreme Court justices that favor your rulings or your, your wishes, your desires, what you want to do by way of laws such that they'll pass.
Yeah.
So now when you hear we want to pack the court, that's what they mean. And you should say to anyone that you're having a conversation with at the coffee table, at the bar, say that's a horrible idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you go back and do a little research, hold on, Jason. If you go back to the history of the Supreme Court, there has always been one side likes what they're doing, one side doesn't like what they're doing. And on the scale of conservative and liberal, it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
In 1972, I am sure the conservatives did not like the ruling of Roe versus Wade. Now, I was only 8 years old, so I have no idea. I was playing with my, toys and my G.I. Joe.
I was a twinkle.
I had a G.I. Joe, thank you.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know, but I guarantee you there were rulings that were disliked by one side or the other, and that just continues to this day. And so be it. All right, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say what's interesting is the concept of packing isn't partisan by its own nature. So it's really a mechanism for power or momentum. And what's interesting is you ever watch the UFC fights, and at the end of one of the fights where one of the guys gets it good. I mean, like he just gets the heel to the side of the head, and you're like, ooh. I feel bad a little bit when I watch the guy immediately start celebrating. I feel like, man, check on the dude, and then when you see he's okay, then celebrate. That's me personally. That's an opinion. It doesn't have to go that way. But my reaction is like, oh, that's not good. And I feel the same way about this. Like I look at like the concept of packing the Supreme Court, I'm like, that's not good. Like, is there another way? Another way?
TV world, raise your hand if you think Jason's ever been in a fight. All hands are down.
What? Yeah, you'd be wrong. You'd lose that bet.
Yeah,
but hey,
let me put it this way. In Brandon growing up, you celebrated. You didn't go check on the opponent.
Yeah, but that's not a sporting event.
After you beat
sporting event.
After you beat the opponent, you kicked him a few more dimes.
Well, yeah. You're talking about other kinds of fights, though.
Yeah, so anyway.
Wait, never any fights that I would legally admit to having been in.
So anyway, this was a little short and sweet. That's
another saying, if we have time for it.
This is what we're talking about. We get complaints.
All right, go for it.
Yeah. When I hit a period, then you talk.
All right, go ahead. Go on. Yes, Father. I receive instruction. Teach me.
Look, Moses.
You're good, man. You go.
You idiot.
Cook, I stopped your momentum. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, I forget. But anyway, I don't have anything else. I just wanted to, I had been reading articles and hearing court packing this and court packing that. I'm like, well, let's tell people at least what that means so they can understand that it's really a horrible idea.
So since you brought that up, there's a phrase people hear oftentimes. They don't maybe always know what it is or where it came from. I had one prepared for you.
What's that?
It is close but no cigar. Are you familiar with where that came from?
No,
what it means?
Of course not.
You know what it means or how it's used.
I watch the Rays game every night. We come close but no cigar. We lose 3-4, 4-3, 2-3.
All right.
Yeah, I know what close no cigar means.
So the origin is actually in the same time period, in the 1920s. Carnival games would go around, and they would put the cigar, the top prize, would go on the top shelf, and as they would play, they would get close but no cigar. And so it kind of became like a phrase that people, kind of began to use. And then I guess we don't really do carnivals that way anymore. And they don't put cigars as prizes. So it's lost and gone. But yeah, that's the origin of it.
That was stimulating. Well, Jason brought a lot to the show today, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Yeah.
So,
Oh man.
yeah, that's it.
Olympics.
That's all I had.
Olympics. Have
Oh,
you
the
been
Olympics.
watching
They
them?
end. They end. I think Sunday. Of course, I've been watching.
Who are you rooting for?
Communist China. She's such an idiot. Uh,
Any memorable moments, like a favorite sport or anything like that?
yeah, two of them. One was,
Okay.
I believe, the 1,500-meter swim where our guy had from beginning to end won the whole thing. And he wasn't even favored. He was in that freaking outside lane, and I found
Yeah.
myself literally standing up because remember, 1,500 meters. That's 30 laps at a pool. And I did some math, and I figured out in my pool be like 127 laps. So you would found me dead at the bottom of the pool if I tried
Wow.
to swim that. And then the other
Yeah.
was a another very long race on the track and field. I don't know if it was 1,500
I
meters or
think it was.
5,000 meters. It was
Yeah.
a long way,
Long
and
distance.
our guy won, and that was very cool because he wasn't favored at all, and so
Yeah.
that was cool.
He pulled ahead.
And yeah, I forget their names, but yeah, it's amazing though. But the a lot of these favorites are not winning, especially in track and field.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
wild. Yeah. It's really
Evidently,
interesting.
the Jamaicans have had a pretty fast sprinting team for years and years, and they're finding themselves off the podium. And the
Mm.
Americans are often winning, and they're not on the podium. And if you didn't see the men's basketball game yesterday, they almost lost,
Wow.
but pulled it out in the last 5 minutes of the game. Kudos to them. They sucked it up and came back, but they were down at one
Yeah.
point by 17 points, and they were on the way
Wow.
out. But they're in the
Wow.
finals,
17
and
points
we'll
down.
see what happens.
That's cool. That's cool. I was watching one of the races. I've really like sat and watch. I've been getting highlights through when I do research on other things. It shows up in my feed. But I saw this one where there's the female from the Netherlands and the female from Switzerland who were neck and neck at the end of their relay, and she was huge. She was head and shoulders above the other girl who was ahead, and like it was so close. You're like on the edge of your seat watching some of these events play out. So I know that they're really exciting for some people who watch them very carefully, but I just haven't had the time. I've caught the highlights, but
Well, the kicker is right now it's 7:30 over there. So if you're not watching now, whatever you watch when you get home, that's just a repeat,
replays.
a
Yeah,
replay. Yeah.
yeah,
But it's still cool if you don't know who won. That's good. I mean, I tape. I like Formula One. I got into it just because of the Netflix show that had 3 or 4 seasons, so I kind of like it.
interesting.
And I tape that because it's like 2 in the morning when they're racing
Yeah,
over there. And
right,
as long as I don't know who won, it's fine with me.
right. Yeah, keeping yourself in the. That's why I
Yeah.
don't like previews to movies either. I just kind of want to watch the movie.
Well, the previews show you the movie. I don't
Yeah,
disagree.
yeah.
All right,
All right,
take us
man.
out there, big fella.
You got it. Any last words for the weekend or anything like that you want to leave people with?
Well, I will tell you that after the Tort Reform Act of
Oy.
23, Reed and Reed, Ryan and I are going to start helping the individuals, homeowners who are getting lowballed and or denied claims
Very cool.
on everything from flooding to lightning strikes to your house burning down. So what you're going to see, certainly on our website, is more advertising or whatever term you want to call about assisting with those claims. I'm
Good.
going to shoot a commercial in a week or two that'll start running because it's extremely sad about what's going on now. When on March 24th of 2023, the legislative body of the state of Florida, stupidly, mind you,
Yeah.
took away the fee provision, meaning if you had to sue your insurance company and you won, they had to pay your attorney's fees. They took that provision out. And because of that, these insurance companies, they have no incentive to settle a claim for a fair
You
and
know,
equal amount.
speaking
So,
of,
so
wait,
that's what we're going to be doing. And hopefully we can help more people.
speaking of that, I think it'll pair nicely with what content you put on. If we do maybe a 3-part series where we take a look at some cases and go, hey, here's a case and here's how it's impacted, and here's one and here's how it's impacted, and just kind of like highlight some of those to share with people so that they have an idea of what those look like. So if you could cherry pick some of those, maybe over the next couple of weeks, we do like a 3-part thing. This type and this type and that type, and it would pair really well with what would go on your website.
I mean, unfortunately, there's so many. I don't got to think about it. I could go on forever. So what we'll do is we'll do a little 5 or 10 minute segment at the end of the show, and I'll give examples of what what you should do, what to look for. So not a bad idea, but I don't need to think about it. I could go on for 10 hours right now on what's happening out there, and why it's happening, and what you should do and what you can do, and so that's fine.
That'd be great. It'll pair well with your marketing
too.
The
end of the show, the next week or so, and we'll go from there.
Brian Staley says, "Happy birthday, Ryan Reed."
Yep, Ryan turned 37.
He's so young.
Yesterday, which makes me 37.
Proud father.
47. I don't know. I don't know. You do the math on that one.
We don't do math. We don't do math. Brian also says, back to school is Monday. Drive safely. Watch for children.
But if your kid does get hit, give us a call.
Yeah. And then maybe homeschool.
Nah, there's no money in that. If you're home.
There's no money in that. I'll take us out.
Right,
thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes, thank you, Brian.
Reed and Reed, it's like having a lawyer in the family.